Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the Firm. I am Alex Gore. I'm here with our other host, Lance Cayko. It's been a long time that we've done an Inside the Firm edition of Inside the Firm. We've been doing some homeowners edition and some other things like that. So happy to have everyone back and talk about our normal stuff, which is a wide range of randomness around entrepreneurial and construction. But if you're interested in that, and if you are an architect looking to get into construction, I recommend the architectsguide2.com. Why? Because we built it. We created it from our experience, the lessons that we learned to help you out to not make the dumb mistakes that we did. architectsguide2.com.
What else do we got, Al? Do we got anything else? Is it my turn to finally talk?
Yeah.
Do I have to talk? I only have one of my reads ready. What about rocket ship? Should people get on the rocket ship?
Okay, I will.
Should people get on the rocket ship? Hang on.
What's it called? I'm running cover for you. Hey, if you're using AutoCAD, people are selling AutoCAD templates, and it makes sense because templates make you go so much faster and better. Mm-hmm. But bless your heart if you're using AutoCAD, because
bless it.
Man, that is not the way to go. Honestly, if you are offended by that, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I said it. If you want to learn Revit and know what you don't know, go to revitrocketship.com. Again, that's revitrocketship.com. And Lance, you want me to keep stalling for you?
This episode is also brought to you by ArtCat.com. As more businesses and tenants demand green design in their buildings, LEED certification is more important than ever, and while ArtCat is known for being red, they can help you go green. Bam! ArtCat, and by they mean red, they mean the logo. If you go to ArtCat.com, you'll see it is red and white all over. I love their colors. ArtCat provides thousands of LEED reports from building product manufacturers on how their products can help you make the green choice that's right for your project. Head over to ArtCat.com and find the information you need for LEED. LEED. Check that out. Also, this episode is brought to you by Pella Luxury. That's right. We would like to welcome Pella Windows and the luxury brand specifically to Inside the Firm. They are our newest sponsor. We are so thrilled to have them on the podcast. One little teaser I would give is that we are going to have some of their representatives come on the Monday morning coffee shows. Really excited about that. So you maybe have never experienced a brand like theirs before, and that is the collection of brands within the luxury division of Pella. They are the conversation starters, the pioneers of industry who provide window and door solutions to discerning architects, the building industry, and beyond. They have decades of experience creating things no one else in the world is creating, and the collection of brands are brought together to complement and build on one another. I have Pella in my house. I highly recommend everybody looks into it for their houses, the houses they're designing. They don't push beyond the limits. They set them. Whoa. Explore PellaLuxury.com at /the firm. That's Pella, PellaLuxury.com /the firm.
Go to it. Pella is one of our new sponsors. We are glad to have them on board. Go check out their luxury division. As architects and designers, I know that I'm always interested at what's coming out, what you can do. So please go browse that. Helps them out, helps us out. We'll be having various guests from them. We'll be diving into windows and things like that. So there's a lot of cool things to look forward to, a lot of good conversations. Transitioning now.
Yeah, what do we got, Al?
Into a firm. You have an inside look at how someone chooses a firm.
Oh, yes. I'm so glad we're going to talk about this. This is exciting, and I believe... So let me give you a little bit of backstory about this, right? So basically, we were since one of the last times we spoke, which was over a month ago, I think because we've been doing these episodes with Lindsay, is we landed our biggest project to date. Very excited about it. It's called Franklin Place. It is the largest billable project we've gotten, one of the largest scopes we've gotten in terms of the amount of units. It's basically 60 residential units, plus or minus. That could obviously flex. There's 8 or 9 commercial buildings where there'll be various businesses such as restaurants, you name it, right? Retail, stuff like that. And then a church. There's a really, really cool church that we're excited about that we're designing there. Huge master plan project. But what's interesting is what I wanted to unpack for everybody is there was a document that was shared with us, and I'm not sure we were supposed to see it, but it was the ownership team going through and interviewing architects. Super interesting to see that kind of feedback loop that we maybe have never seen, and why people pick us. Because, you'll ask people sometimes, and I know Alex does it, and I do it too, that, hey, why did you pick our firm? And then they'll tell us, and then maybe that's not real, right? Maybe it's they are
nice way of saying
something. They're condensing the information. But so we got access to a Google document, and some of the things I think that was pretty important that we saw is from them is why they picked us, right? So basically, let me go all the way back to the beginning here. So they had this really interesting way of. So they had this like running Google document. So about a month before they picked us, they reached out to they reached out to 6 different firms. They had one that was maybe the only one that's available, and it was literally come down to like when their staff was available. Then further on in the documents, then they reached out to us about a week later, and we got put to the top. And so I'm going to read you some bullet points, right? Slightly more cost effective than the competitor. Big growing team, very confident they'll keep up on our team. More organized in proposal. That was a huge one. Amazing bonus to have a big picture renderings for selling through the city. So what I want to talk about with a proposal, the comment about more organized proposal, and then the amazing bonus. Basically, and I've actually gotten some feedback from one of our colleagues, Joel, who we went fishing with last weekend. He asked me, he's doing his first residence, and he asked about how we have what we do to establish client control and throughout the process. And so I said, well, here you go. And then some about like when additional services would be, how do you make that decision? And so I gave him a citation from our proposal, and then I literally sent him a proposal from a different client, and I said, do you see how it works? And he goes, holy cow, this is polished. So back to these comments from the owners with Franklin was more organized in proposal. Ours lays out the 4 different processes, right? Schematic design, design development, construction docs, permit documentation. And then we specifically put in example images. So for these guys, it was example images from other renderings and what we were going to deliver. And it just connected everything for them. And so that's why we look more organized. The other thing that I did that was more organized is I put together a Gantt chart. And because we had when they originally hired us, the idea was we were supposed to deliver our final drawings on April 23rd. We ended up getting it moved to May 7th, but I convinced them and showed them through the Gantt chart, like, here's how quickly we can move, here's all the team members involved, and here's exactly how we're going to do it. Just laid out a roadmap for them. And so that was the big reason why we won that contract. Those 2 bullet points: more organized in proposal, amazing bonus to have big picture. So if you ever get a chance to see stuff like that, I think that is pretty helpful. And just some, but it maybe just kind of solidifies what what you're thinking and putting out there anyway, in the way you do your proposals.
Awesome, I love it. Great insights there. There, just a little heads up on the market. the lumber prices as of 2 weeks ago were up, what is it, 193%. And there is an article in Fortune dated April 13, and it's about to spike even higher. I don't know if you wanted to dive into it, but man, is that
I did.
bad news.
I did want to dive into it. Alex was asking me today, like, what is going on with these materials? So there's another article that I'll talk about too, about maybe kind of talks about it. Yeah, the price of lumber is up 193%, and even get a spike higher. This is actually a month. This is a month old article, but it's still pertinent, right? So basically, the influx of buyers is the reason why in this Forbes article or this Fortune article of why lumber is driving up the price further, right? So on Friday, and again, this is about a month ago. So about a month ago, lumber per 1,000 board feet jumped to 1,048. I just heard that it actually is at $1,500 a board foot. So it's just going insane, right? So in short, basically, and I'll read a little excerpt here. Quote, "It's clearly a short squeeze. In futures and spot markets, lumber yards are overcommitted on their sales, and there isn't enough wood to cover," Dean told Fortune. "This is a clear signal," he says, "that prices will go up more in the short term." From the onset, the pandemic was a perfect storm for surging lumber prices. At the same time, sawmills were limiting production during the early months of the crisis. The pandemic was spurring do-it-yourself boom among Americans stuck at home. The supply and demand mismatch was made worse by record low interest rates and historically tight existing housing inventory, which caused buyers to rush to new construction. The backlog is so big that prices aren't falling despite wood production hitting a 13-year high in February. Let me repeat that. So it's not that they're not putting it out, Al.
Wow.
Basic economics, supply and demand. It's the other factors that I just talked about. That's what the problem is, 100%. And
That
for
is
all,
crazy.
and so one other point I want to make about the housing bubble, quote unquote housing bubble. I put it in quotes because I don't believe it is a bubble in the sense you can't compare it to 2001. You can't compare it to 2008 anymore. And here's why. And this is me calling out some people online that I've seen, and what I call them is libertarian bullshitters. I don't understand how they can understand economics so well, but then and really get when the crashes are going to come, but then be so wrong about the fundamentals. And I think it's just because they can't afford to get in the market. Like, it's not my fault that you're broke. Why it's just distinctly different is there is a 4-to-1 ratio of buyers to available units. That is exactly what is going on. You have the record lower interest rates, and I'm going to give you a perfect example of what is happening. I had a gentleman walk into this office 3 weeks ago, comes up the stairs and meets and greets me, said, "Hey, I found you guys because of Builder Magazine. I'm looking for an architect. We're moving here from California. We just sold our house." I found out what that house was worth when he sold it. $2.2 million. He's buying a house of similar size, scope, location in terms of being able to see the mountains for $1.2 million. These people, a lot of these folks that are coming in from these other places, they have all this other equity that you guys are not taking into account. And they're literally not only being able to buy properties that are similar size, value, probably have more open space. You hate it, I know.
More square
footage, more just because Colorado is less dense than California so far, right? Yeah.
So
they're being able to take that profit and put it back in their pocket. So they're getting more bang for their buck.
Well, this is what's crazy too. The new house he's buying is what, 1.1?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if he just sold a $2 million house and he's buying one for 1.1,
probably almost a cash out.
But what's crazy too is that someone in Colorado could be seeing that 1.1 million house and be like, "Oh, just last year that would have been $900,000. That's $200,000 over." And for him, he's like, "This is not a 0.9.
You need to
1.1,
right?" And again, this is all back to the bullshitters again. Like, you guys got to step out of your bubble. I don't think you understand people who are real close to real estate. My wife and I are talking about. Whoops, let me shut that off. Sorry. My wife and I are talking about real estate every damn night. That's just part of our relationship. And one of the epiphanies that I had her and I, got into a serious relationship like 7-10 years ago, whatever it was like, people just buy houses with cash? What the hell? Like, you don't understand the scales of economy that people have when they are in this upper echelon of income. And so, and one last point I'll make about it is, if I was to have Marilyn on the podcast right now, and I was to ask her, hey, hun, where are the bidding wars most aggressive? And if she gave you categories, she did this, I don't know where, we did this a while back with, I can't remember who we were talking to, her and I, but what category in terms of purchases are having the most bidding wars? Is it 500 to 750,000? Is it 750,000 to $1 million? Or is it $1 million plus? What would you say?
$1 million plus.
$1 million plus.
Yep.
$1 million plus. Those are the highest, craziest bidding wars going on right now, is in the $1 million plus category.
I know a California couple that has a house now in Boulder that we're designing a barn, and Boulder County is so slow because they literally...
They don't want development, I'm convinced.
No, they don't. They don't. Because instead of like increasing production or staff, they just schedule it out longer. Like, you literally need to talk to them before you can do anything, and they schedule that out 4 months. And then after you talk to them, then you can't submit for another 4 months. So like that's eight months right there. And that's a minimum. Anyways, they're kind of upset about the process, that they're like, we just might buy another piece of property in the adjacent county and build our barn there. And then we might build another one here. Like, that's next.
That's a great point. Maybe that'll cinch this up, is like, also, you guys who are not in the industry, I need you to understand that the bureaucrats have gotten so out of control. And again, the government has a monopoly on this whole situation, right? So that's why the supply and demand issue is a real thing, is people are not rushing to build new houses, meaning developers, and just private people, because like, it is difficult. It is very difficult.
Yep. Here's the other thing. I know developers who stopped developing on a 30-unit project because the pandemic hit. If they would have continued, I think I said this before, like, they'd be selling like hotcakes right now.
We didn't know, though.
No. We didn't know. No one knew. But another developer now took that over. He can't just turn on the faucet and now hit go. He needs to, this project has been dead for a while. Let's review it, the whole city. Let's, even that person to start is 6 months away. So like, we can't respond quickly to these market forces because of that.
It's physically impossible for us to respond this quickly.
Yep.
So, okay.
I was reading a book by Jim Quick, Limitless. Have you heard of it?
Yep. Are you jumping ahead?
I think so.
You can. I would rather
not jump ahead.
That's okay. Keep going. Limitless.
Okay.
We can go back.
No, this is just a very, very quick one. Everyone has heard the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. That's the common saying. He goes, well, reverse it in your head and see what that does for you. With great responsibility comes great power. So we say on this podcast all the time, more responsibility, more reward. And we'll stick with that saying. It's a catchy saying. But if you want more, and power sometimes seems like greedy, something like that, but just don't add that connotation to it. If you are frustrated in what you're doing, maybe take on more responsibility, because then you'll get more power in the choices and what happens and everything else.
Yeah. Maybe you'll get more freedom. Maybe you'll get more decision-making power in your day-to-day life, which leads to your freedom.
Yep. Yeah. Decision-making power is probably like how you would expand this to be.
Yeah. Because I think what you're getting at with the word power is there's a lot of baggage with that noun. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Decision-making ability.
Yep. Beautiful. So earlier this week, there was a headline that came out, and so I wanted to talk about this too. Again, more inflation stuff, right? I just can't. It just pains me in my soul to have leaders of the world deny this idea of inflation when we're all seeing it literally at the gas pump. So, from Bloomberg.com, corporate America rides wave of inflation to record profits. And here's why. So, anybody who sat in on one of these profit calls, if you're a stockholder, you cannot lie. Like, literally, you cannot lie. The SEC holds you accountable.
But know who does more than that?
Who?
Your own shareholders will sue you.
Yep.
Because they are trying to make a profit. And if you lie, you're messing with their...
Exactly.
Yep.
So... setting it up with that, right? They cannot lie. From the article, markets have been obsessed and sometimes roiled for months over whether higher inflation is coming. The latest batch of quarterly reports suggests it's already here and helping corporate America. Who was right first, Lance? Faced with rising prices from everything from lumber to oil to labor and computer chips, chief executive officers have cut costs and boosted prices for their products. The strategy appears to be working, with first quarter income from S&P companies jumping 5 times as fast as sales, data compiled by a Bloomberg intelligence show. As a result, their net margin, which measures how much profit companies are squeezing from their revenue, has risen to a record high, according to Bank of America Corp. Here's the important part. Executives mentioned inflation more than any time since 2011 during earnings conference calls last month, according to Bank of America. Warren Buffett joined the chorus 2 days ago, saying price increases are more intense than people would have anticipated 6 months ago. The billionaire added that his Berkshire Hathaway Inc. boosted prices. Customers have accepted them. Warren Buffett, to a fundamental analysis, inflation is called pricing power, end quote, says Nicholas Colas, founder of Data Track Research, quote, and it's very good for incremental corporate earnings. So not everyone is benefiting. A shortage of semiconductors, for instance, is creating pain for automakers. You probably heard about that, right? They can't make the new cars. Smartphone suppliers and video game developers. Ford Motor Company last week slashed its 21 forecast, warning the chip scarcity will cut planned second quarter production in half. By Bank of America's count, inflation.
Wait. Ford production capacity in half?
Yes.
That is insane.
That is insane. And again, this is straight from the horse's mouth.
And again, to reiterate, the reason why it's happening in car manufacturing, it's everywhere. But car manufacturing is that they cut back their orders because of the recession massively. All those chip manufacturers had to pivot. So then they got other orders for like all the PCs and everything else that people are buying. And now they're at overcapacity for that. And then the car company's like, hey, please make our chips. And they're like, yeah, get in line.
Yeah.
Get in line.
Exactly. You got it, Al. You get it.
Yep.
Janet Yellen doesn't get it. By Bank of America's count, inflation among corporate executives was most prevalent in the commodity, consumer, and industrial sectors. So, last thing here I'll say is this is all directly from the article. Comments from business leaders are, quote, pointing to at the very least, transitory hyperinflation ahead.
Moves around.
So, I want everybody to remember that word, because that word, this is how the language works, right? We're not in control of the language. The media, the corporate elites, those people are. So you're going to hear, they're going to try to soften this nasty inflation that's coming about. And it looks like it's going to be worse than the 70s. You're going to call it transitory, right? To soften it, because it just comes and goes.
Right.
Comes and goes.
Hey, it came for lumber prices. It will probably go away. Now it's coming in. What you don't understand, Lance, is that it's coming at different times for different products.
Different
and
things.
and thus it will also end at different times for different products. So even if a bunch of them overlap at a time, and even if more money is coming out of your pocket and your wages aren't keeping up with inflation, just know it's transitory.
Got it. Makes me feel better.
Sure. It's like transitory. Sometimes you have a house, sometimes you can't pay for it. You're just transitory. Right?
Yeah. You're just transitory.
Yeah.
That's all. Yep. Got it.
Good to know.
Yep. Okay. Interview tips.
Okay.
We haven't talked about this because we've been talking with Lindsay.
Yeah.
But what are we doing? How many people are we hiring? What do we do?
Oh man, we hiring 2 / and a third. If that third, the part-time one, is still on.
Yeah, basically 3 is the way to. 4 is the true way to think about it. 2 100% full-time people who will hopefully be here for at least a year.
Yep.
1 basically remote contract style worker, and then 1 summer intern. All ladies.
Yep.
And we're excited.
Yep, we're excited. So we interviewed at least 4, probably 6 candidates, or 7,
something like that,
in about 2 to 3 weeks, and we had some tips that we want to share with you.
Yeah.
And the first lesson, and I'll tell you why I learned this lesson, but the lesson is they are nervous. One, we physically saw it. We physically saw people being nervous.
Yeah, and I should say, half were Zoom meetings. No, more than half were Zoom meetings because literally they were that far away. And then the other half were if they could come in, ideally we wanted them to come interview in person.
And another reason that I noticed nervous is because I was talking with some of the people at our firm afterwards, and I said, yeah, their personality didn't come out. I didn't see as much. They didn't talk as much. And then they talked about one of our employees who is a great employee. And I remember the interviews from years ago, like, yeah, I didn't talk too much either. Or this person didn't talk at all.
Once they actually got into the firm?
No, but in the interview, like, it's not like they were joking around, like in the interview. Because I think I said it like, yeah, there wasn't any, jokes, and not that you should go out to put jokes. And then I had to remember, like, oh yeah, they're not trying to crack jokes during an interview.
Right.
They're not trying to do that. They're just trying to get through, look professional, and all that. So that's the biggest one. And then I'm going to go through an outline of, hey, we learned these lessons. So how do you now apply that to what you're doing to make the interview go better, right?
And Al, is this for both interviewees and interviewers in your opinion, or is it just for most, or is it just for one?
Just for one, but interviewers, but the interviewees can take something from it for sure. The second point is they are sometimes / always interviewing you also.
Yep.
So at least one person did a really good job of coming back at like 4 or 5 questions. And they weren't just like your typical questions like, oh, when do you start? When do you not start? Was like, how's your culture? I can't remember all the questions, but like we often at the end will turn the table back. And normally they will just ask, a couple questions, and you should have a couple questions in your mind. You absolutely should. But one was like, do you remember it? It was like an interview back, like flipping the tables. I was like, this is great.
Yep.
This is great. Good for you.
And I think they came well. It reminds me of when we we also just hired the gals over at Blossom Marketing, and we are so excited to have them as our new social media and just marketing managers. But they won the. I mean, there's multiple reasons why they won our business, but one of the biggest reason I even told this to Aaron was, you guys researched us. You gave a shit about us.
Yep.
So the same thing should happen. Like if you're going to be interviewing with the firm, you need to do some research.
Yep.
And have those questions listed out, because we actually want to be interviewed. We want you to like pull some stuff out of us so that we can help you understand how
what you're getting
this would work out.
Yep. So this outline, like, I'm suggesting we change how we do stuff, because if someone's nervous, they might just be nervous, but they might be a great candidate.
Yeah.
And if you don't allow them to come out, then you might miss over a nervous candidate that's going to be awesome because of the way that you interviewed, right? So I think the first thing to do is start them talking about themselves. Open up. Why do you want, why are you in this profession? What drove you through this? Like, get something positive flowing from them first before you get into asking questions about, what is this project about? What did you do at this firm? Instead of like grilling them at the beginning, somehow the first 2 to 5 minutes should be a question that gets them to kill the nerves, right? Another example of that is like, hey, tell us how you got from point A to point B. So from high school to here. That's another question, right? Another thing that I learned, listen for keywords, right? So here's an example of a couple keywords that people said multiple times, not the same person, but different people, right? So one person used the word different 4 times. One person used the word sustainable 4 times. One person used the word impact 4 times, right? What that means is that it's going to give you a clue of what they are expecting. They're expecting to do something different, work on different projects. They're expecting to do a huge sustainable impact, or just have projects that have impact. Now you know, hey, are their expectations going to be met at our firm? Are they going to be happy at our firm or not? And let's say it's one of those things that is at your firm and you notice that they talked about it a lot. Now, when they're interviewing you or you can talk back in their same language. So you can get the client that matches you. That's one thing I noticed and tried to pick up on every interview, right? someone did this to us too. So Sonos is basically soundproofing materials. And one of the first things that they asked us was, what don't you like about other suppliers? And then we gave him a whole bunch. And then throughout his presentation, he was able to just spoon feed us back. We don't do what you don't like. We don't do what you don't like, you know? And we bought from them. So good for them, right? Then I would say dive into questions, look at their resume, go through that. Then we always kind of end with diving into their portfolio after their resume. And then at the end, you flip it and you ask them if they have any questions. If they are super nervous, I would probably flip the portfolio before the questions. Tell us about one of your projects. I saw this project.
Yeah,
really,
get them
really
going, get them talking, loosen them up.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So that's what we learned. I hope that helped out. I think the key thing is to get them to open up and then listen for keywords.
Oh my God, I am embarrassed. You know what I don't even have ready, but now I'm going to get it ready?
Keywords?
Do you know who's back?
Nick Renard.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. Had a great time with Nick probably 4 weeks ago. Went and had dinner with his wife and my wife, and so it was a little double date. He was so gracious. Thank you very much for that meal, Nick. My wife wants to hang out with you and your wife again, so hopefully you come to Colorado and we can treat you maybe to some fresh trout. So without further ado, Nick is back with Nick Reads.
Hello, best friends. I hope you had a great week. Wait, a great couple of weeks. The last few weeks. Our reading. Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100 hour weeks every week. This improves the odds of success. If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve. Our best friend, the Doge Father, Elon Musk. Toodles!
So that's funny because they're notoriously for working a lot. But then when they had their Tesla Model 3 ramp up and he was working all the time, he's like, no one should work this hard.
Do you believe so? Power of 10.
Yeah.
Isn't that a book? Didn't you read that?
No, you did too. 10X.
Grant Cardone.
Cardone. Yep.
So he has this. So Brett, my oldest son, and I, we tried to listen to it. We were driving up for ice fishing this winter. Couldn't do it. It was just too much. It was just too much. And I think Alex and I kind of came. Grant Cardone is great, but it's just too much for me. I think we came to the conclusion that all of these kind of books, they focus on the one thing and they exploit the one thing. Mm-hmm. Good for them. It makes sense, right? Figure it out. But I was going to ask you is, do you believe? But there is some truth to what he's doing, right? Obviously, he's made other people very successful. He's very successful. This 10x, this 10 number, this 10,000 hours, and then you become a master. Mm-hmm. I think there's something to 10 years working your butt off, and then you get to the point where you can start to take some time off and pull back a little bit and do the things maybe that you missed out on for 10 years. Maybe fishing.
Maybe fishing.
Maybe you are addicted to fishing and now you're at the point in your career. Do you think there's any truth to that? Because I feel that way with the firm. It's been 10 years, over 10 years now.
Yeah.
We have systems in place. We have staff in place. We need to keep maintaining those, keep people hopefully here and growing and happy to grow and start to literally get ownership.
Yep.
And more profitability in their pockets and stuff like that and sharing that. What do you think about that?
I think there's some truth to that. I think also, too, even on the lesser level, because I've been at firms where we worked, I don't know, we didn't start at Leapskin until 10 a.m., but we didn't quit till 10 p.m., at the most. And what I noticed was there was a lot of stuff that didn't need to get done that got done. So it's also what you do. And I thought like, man, because there's times that we could have worked more and worked longer. It's like, okay, if we would have got more business, then maybe that would have been worth it. But if we would have because there's a whole bunch of graphics and other things that we could have made. How much of a difference would that have made? Like, I don't know if that would have made that much of a difference. We could have made even bigger the construction sets. How much of a difference would that have made?
I know it. Exactly.
Honestly.
Yep.
So I think when you do limit the time, I think that allows you to cut out some fluff, right? Because if you go, I'm going to work 80 to 100 hours, I don't think you're cutting out any of the fluff. But if you have real goals and real deadlines and you only have 40 to 60 hours to do it, you got to go, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, and those things aren't needed. So that was my first answer. And then to answer yours, yeah, I think there is something to that because over the 10 years you learn what's important and what's not important. And then it depends where you are at life. So let's say you do want to go fishing, right? But let's say at 10 years, like, no, I got to work 80 hours. So that what? So that then in 10 years you can go fishing in Colorado? You're like, wait, exactly. I already live in Colorado.
Yep.
So I can just, go, yep. So.
You got it.
Yep. Okay. I think what's next is A.R.E. Jeopardy. Let's bring down the team.
Bam, bam.
All right. Question number 1. What group occupancy is a prison?
Dun, dun, dun.
Is it A, which is A1? Is it B, which is R3? Is it C, which is R4? Or is it D, I3? What group occupancy? Doodaloo, doodaloo.
You got to know this in case we get that big federal prison contract.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hold them up. D. Nothing. D. It is D. I3.
I3.
And if you don't know, you can guess. There's
basically institution, right?
Yep.
Okay. Makes sense.
Question 2. Concrete poured.
I'm going to type that for you again.
Yeah, concrete poured at near freezing temperatures shall A, be covered with blankets, B, heated with lamps. Gee, what's going on here? C, comply with ACI 318 section 5.12, or D, be poured within a 2-hour window.
Concrete poured at near freezing temperatures shall.
Which one? A, B, C, or D?
I know it.
3, 2, 1. A. So covered. D. What is D? Poured. D. What did you put? C. You are correct. Can play.
Hannah got it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So. Yep. Yep. Thought it was a trickster, but it wasn't.
Sick. Badass.
Probably.
That's what I was gonna guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take away your license.
Which is
How about that?
Yeah. Building fall down, go boom. Number 3. What is the most popular alternative to traditional litigation and often specified in contract documents? Is it A, private judges? Is it B, binding arbitration? Is it C, mini trials? Or D, mediation? What is the most popular alternative to traditional litigation and often specified in contract documents? AKA the contract. We have B, D. You gotta guess. Just guess. What did you do? C? I said D. You said D? The correct answer is B. Who got it? Anybody? 2 people. Good deal. Binding arbitration.
Doesn't mediation come before arbitration?
That's the goal. Okay. Number 4. What is the least costly alternative dispute resolution technique? Is it A, mediation, B, arbitration, C, litigation, D, a duel with either swords or guns?
I like it. D. D is probably the most least costly.
Have you seen ammo prices?
Okay, ammo prices. All right, we ready?
Banned in some areas now. Okay, A, C. You did C, Tyler? A. Correct answer is A. All right, what do we got for numbers? 3, 1. We are
2,
at tiebreaker,
2.
Bill.
Okay, tiebreaker. Mark, come on in.
Architect. Come
Everyone
on.
enjoy the Hawaiian shirts.
Hawaiian Shirt Friday. Mark Pedler, everyone.
Where are we? Okay.
Eat the mic.
Tiebreaker is going to be a lightning round. So fastest person to show me the answer.
I love it.
Everybody ready?
How's the deal?
How many square feet are in an acre?
Everybody got to remember this for the rest of your life. Honestly.
That's it.
That's it. Congratulations. Where are we eating?
43
43,560?
The answer is 43,560 square feet. And when I was studying for the A.R.Es, I made the unlock on my phone, so that helps you remember it.
Oh, what a good technique you got, Mark. Sick. All right, well, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you didn't already know, Inside the Firm now has a YouTube channel where you can actually watch the episodes if that's what you prefer. Subscribe now to win a piece of Inside the Firm merch. Or if you prefer podcast style, it would mean the world to us if you could leave a 5-star review for us if you enjoyed the episode. That is how more people find the podcast. Now we can help spread more value. But no matter which category you fall into, if you're looking for the latest updates on Inside the Firm and special content, follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook at Inside the Firm or Instagram at Inside the Firm Podcast. Thanks for joining us at Inside the Firm for another great episode.